Welcome to HistoryFlix English. Imagine commanding one of Rome's most powerful armies. Thousands of disciplined legionaries march behind you. Roman standards rise above the column. Your soldiers are armed and trained, and you believe the enemy ahead is little more than a group of rebellious tribesmen. Then you hear something in the trees. An arrow cuts through the air. Another strikes a shield. Suddenly, warriors appear from the forest. Your soldiers try to form ranks, but there is no room. The ground is soaked with rain, wagons block the road, and thick trees surround the army. Then the attacks begin from both sides. This was not a normal battle. It was a carefully prepared trap. In AD 9, 3 Roman legions marched into the forests of Germania. By the time the fighting was over, those legions had been destroyed, their standards captured, and Rome's plans to conquer Germania had suffered a devastating blow. This is the story of the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest. At the beginning of the 1st century AD, Rome was at the height of its expansion. Under Emperor Augustus, Roman armies had conquered huge territories across Europe, North Africa, and the Mediterranean. Beyond the Rhine River lay Germania, a land of forests, rivers, and numerous independent tribes. Rome wanted more. Roman commanders believed Germania could be brought under imperial control. Roman officials began establishing settlements, collecting taxes, and introducing Roman laws. But the Germanic tribes were not united under a single king, and many had no desire to accept Roman authority. Among them was a man who understood Rome from the inside. His name was Arminius. Arminius was a Germanic prince who had spent years among the Romans and had served in the Roman military. He knew their language, understood their discipline, and had learned how Roman commanders planned their campaigns. To Rome, he appeared to be a valuable ally, but secretly, Arminius was preparing something very different. He began contacting leaders from several Germanic tribes and convincing them that Rome could be defeated. The tribes did not need to destroy the entire Roman Empire. They simply needed to destroy an army at the right place and at the right time. That opportunity came in the summer of AD 9. The Roman governor of Germania, Publius Quinctilius Varus, was leading 3 legions through the region. These were legions Statine, the 18th, and Dietine, supported by auxiliary troops and cavalry. The exact size of the Roman force is uncertain, but it probably numbered somewhere around 15,000 to 20,000 people, including soldiers and camp followers. Varus believed that a local rebellion had broken out and that his army needed to move through the region to restore order. But the rebellion was part of Arminius's plan. The Romans began their march through difficult terrain. Heavy rain turned the ground into mud. The forest became darker and harder to navigate. Wagons slowed the column, and the soldiers became spread out along the narrow route. This was exactly what Arminius wanted. In an open battlefield, Roman legionaries were terrifying. They could form tight formations, protect each other with their large shields, and attack with remarkable discipline. But inside a forest, those advantages were greatly reduced. Then came the first attack. Germanic warriors hidden among the trees suddenly launched spears and arrows at the Roman column. The Romans were shocked. They tried to organize their soldiers and fight back, but the enemy refused to stand in one place. Germanic warriors attacked from the forest and then disappeared among the trees. The Romans could not see where the next attack would come from. Everywhere they moved, the forest seemed to be against them. Varus ordered his soldiers to continue forward. He needed to reach more open ground where the legions could form their traditional battle lines. But the Germanic warriors knew the terrain. They attacked again and again. The Roman army was slowly being pulled deeper into the trap. Eventually, the Romans attempted to build a defensive camp. For a moment, it appeared that they might survive. But the Germanic coalition had not finished. As the Romans continued their march, the attacks became more intense. The soldiers were exhausted. The roads were muddy. Their formations were breaking apart, and their commanders were struggling to maintain control. Then the trap closed. Germanic warriors attacked from the surrounding forests and hills, turning the Roman column into a battlefield. The Romans could not deploy their entire force. They could not maneuver effectively, and they could not easily escape. The Roman army was being destroyed piece by piece. For Varus, the situation became hopeless. According to ancient sources, Varus and several senior officers took their own lives rather than face capture. The remaining Roman soldiers continued fighting, but their resistance was collapsing. Over the next few days, the Roman army was effectively destroyed. 3 legions were lost. Thousands of Roman soldiers were killed or captured. And the famous Roman eagle standards, the sacred symbols of the legions, fell into Germanic hands. The news sent shockwaves through the Roman world. When Emperor Augustus learned what had happened, ancient sources describe him as deeply distressed. The destruction of 3 legions was not simply a military defeat. It was a warning that Rome's expansion had finally encountered a limit, and the consequences were enormous. Before Teutoburg, Rome had been pushing deeper into Germania. After the defeat, the Rhine increasingly became the frontier that separated Roman territory from the independent Germanic world. Rome did not completely abandon Germania. Years later, the Roman general Germanicus launched campaigns into the region. Roman forces fought Arminius and recovered some of the lost legionary standards. But Rome ultimately decided that permanently conquering and controlling the territories beyond the Rhine would cost too much. The forest had stopped an empire, and that is what makes the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest so important. Arminius did not defeat Rome by matching the Roman army soldier for soldier. He defeated Rome by understanding how Rome fought. He chose the terrain, he used surprise, he exploited the weather, and most importantly, he prevented the Roman army from using its greatest strength, its disciplined battlefield formations. For centuries, historians debated exactly where the battle took place. Modern archaeological discoveries around Kalkries in Germany have uncovered Roman weapons, coins, and military equipment, providing important evidence connected to the disaster. However, historians still debate some details about the exact battlefield and the sequence of events. What we do know is that the defeat had a lasting impact. Rome remained one of the greatest powers in history. Its empire continued for centuries. But the dream of permanently conquering Germania east of the Rhine was largely abandoned, and that changed the future of Europe. The Rhine became one of the great frontiers of the Roman world, separating Roman civilization from the Germanic territories beyond it. More than 2,000 years later, the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest remains a powerful lesson in military history. The Romans had experienced soldiers, they had powerful weapons, they had disciplined legions, but Arminius had something equally powerful: knowledge of the enemy and the battlefield. 3 Roman legions entered the forests of Germania expecting to restore Roman authority. Instead, they walked into a trap that would change the course of European history. 3 legions marched into the forest. They never marched out. If you enjoyed this story, like this video, subscribe to HistoryFlix English and turn on notifications for more stories about